to the likely consequences of its use. Let's talk about the U.S. attacks on Iranian speedboats this weekend. I thought we had a ceasefire.
We don't have a ceasefire. Ceasefire implies the termination of conflict, of hostilities. The United States still maintains an active blockade. That's an act of war. And the United States continues to behave in an extraordinarily provocative manner. So Donald Trump is agreement incapable. This is something Sergei Lavrov has said repeatedly, and it's being played out. The man is literally insane. He suffers from a diagnosable mental illness, malignant narcissistic personality disorder. This man is incapable of staying the course. The inconsistencies of his social media postings are only matched by inanity of their content. So I don't know what the world expects from this. There is an absolute necessity for the Strait of Hormuz to be opened up, and I believe it will be. But the idea that the United States, especially led by Donald Trump, is going to sit down and enter into a comprehensive deal with Iran and keep that deal is absurd in the extreme. There will be no deal. The question now is, what pressure will China and Russia put on Iran to accept the reality that you can't do diplomacy with the United States, and so you'll figure out. It's like I had a Russian say, "How do we deal with the United States? You can't make a deal with these people. How do you work with them?" And I said, "Well, how do you work with the weather? I mean, when it rains, you put on a raincoat. When it's sunny, you dress accordingly. The United States is like the weather. You can have no agreement with the weather. The weather is what the weather is. You just have to deal with it. And this is, I think, the world we're heading into, especially under Donald Trump. There will be no agreement, not one that the United States will adhere to. There will be an understanding, and probably one that allows oil to flow through the Strait of Hormuz because the global economy demands this. But Donald Trump is insane, literally insane. And he will not allow an agreement to take place, especially when he lost this war. Iran's not going to give him something at the negotiating table that Trump didn't earn on the battlefield. Iran is not a defeated nation. Iran holds all the cards. They're ready to hook and jab. China just is telling them, please don't escalate because we really do need this oil.
So aside from the fact that Trump is the way you have described him, how could there ever be a diplomatic solution with Trump because of the issue of Israel? Netanyahu will use all of the tools at his disposal if Trump tries to enter into some sort of an agreement that results in a termination of hostilities to make sure that hostilities are not terminated. He's not going to give up on slaughtering in Lebanon and slaughtering in Gaza because Donald Trump tells him to, or will he?
Yeah, Netanyahu holds absolutely no cards here. Look, let's put it this way. Every advantage Netanyahu has is political in nature. Does Israel physically threaten the United States? Not on your life. Do they the Epstein files? No. Israel has a pro-Israeli lobby that has captured the American body politic. The American body politic consists of Congress and the presidency. And right now, Israel feels that they have political control. But American politics is driven by a different reality. It's called money. And as long as the pro-Israeli lobby can buy off Congress and Congress can convince their constituents that they will continue to prosper even though they've been bought off, the constituents will turn a blind eye. But Bill Clinton's 1992 campaign, James Carville putting a yellow sticky on the door of the war room, is a wake-up call to everybody, including Israel. It's the economy, stupid. Anybody who thinks that Israel out-trumps the economy doesn't have a clue how America functions. At the end of the day, it's what's in your wallet and what's in your bank account. And when that starts to get threatened, Israel will be flushed down the toilet of life. And this is the reality. As soon as Donald Trump understands that his political fortunes are shot because he can't get oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz, he will tell Israel to stand down, and Israel will have no choice. Most American politicians don't take it to that level because they're afraid of the political consequences. But when the political consequences are linked to the economy and the economy is being tanked by Israel, we know which way the United States will go.
So when Donald Trump says Benjamin Netanyahu will do what I tell him, and others say it's really the other way around, Donald Trump will do what Benjamin Netanyahu tells him, you're of the view that Donald Trump is correct, that he can tell Netanyahu, cool it, and he'll have no choice but to do so.
It comes down to politics. If Donald Trump tells Benjamin Netanyahu to cool it, and the Israeli lobby applies its political pressures, and those pressures are great enough to convince Donald Trump that he's paying too high of a political cost, then he'll back down, which traditionally has been what American politicians have done. But no American politician in the modern age of the dominance of the pro-Israeli lobby has had to deal with what Donald Trump is about to deal with, an energy crisis unlike anything seen since the 1970s and worse. Can
I add one parenthetical phrase to that?
Yeah.
Of his own making.
Of his own making. That's right. He doesn't even get to blame anybody else. This is clearly on his shoulders. Therefore, now the political dynamic has changed. And when Donald Trump tells Israel to sit down and shut up, Israel needs to understand that in America, it's the economy, stupid, out trumps, oh, Israel needs our help. Nobody will come in front of the American taxpayer and his paycheck. Nobody. And that's just the reality of it.
Has Netanyahu, and then we'll jump to Iran, has Netanyahu put Israel in a dangerously dependent state, dependent on the United States?
Well, even Benjamin Netanyahu recognizes this. He just gave a statement, a speech a little while ago, where he said Israel needs to wean itself off of the its American financial umbilical cord within the next 10 years, recognizing that in the United States, even without this energy crisis, the American people are turning their backs increasingly on Israel. Some polls show up to 60% of the American public does not view Israel favorably. And that number is just going to get worse, especially if Israel is linked to promoting a war that has led to economic collapse here in the United States. That will be the end of Israel. And right now, Israel has no plan B. And so, Netanyahu recognizes this. He says we have to free ourselves, but where's he going to go? And the answer is, of course, the United Arab Emirates, which has divorced itself from the rest of the Gulf Arab states, is an adherent to the Abraham Accord, is entering into a de facto military alliance with Israel, allowing Israeli troops on their soil, visitations by the Israeli prime minister. And the United Arab Emirates has delinked itself from OPEC Plus, meaning that it's a free agent on the market of energy. It's going to try to pour as much resources into the energy market to generate funding, which then will make its way back in a mutually beneficial way to Israel. And this will be the new umbilical cord.